The changelings are beginning to evacuate. Cobalt informed us as we continued on down the corridor. I'm also starting to focus on getting some of the robotic defenses online. I don't think I'll get many, but I'll send what I can to help them. He paused, the silence deafening my ears as we continued down the corridor with a presently clear eyes-forward sparkle. Some of the security dwellers and some other volunteers are splitting themselves between defending retreating civilians and causing general havoc for the slavers. They have a base-wide revolution on their hooves. I think you can expect less resistance as they try to stop them. Good to know. Anyway, there looks to be a large flux storage chamber nearby. It's filled with spare vats of the stuff, so watch where you step. The main chamber is only a short ways past it, so good luck. I will see you on the other side. Cobalt's voice ceased, and the doorway leading to the chamber he mentioned appeared directly ahead. My mind was filled with everything we had gone through for, 5 weeks, almost? Was that it? Fuck. So much had happened in just over a month. Barely even that. 36 days ago, I was in New Appaloosa, not giving a shit about any of this, and now here we were. Ultrix was dead, and I was about to face the son of a bitch responsible. Whatever Red Eye and the Goddess intended to do with their changeling queen army, it wasn't happening. They'd already lost, and they would not get a second shot. We reached the door, and Moonblossom hit the button to slide it open. My Pip-Buck practically screamed. Goddesses, that's a lot of taint. Right out of the door, we were presented with a grated staircase leading up onto a long catwalk that spanned a room of comparable size to the warehouse in which the changelings had been kept. From there, the catwalk had several branches that all ran in a grid pattern, alongside many large vats filled with a bubbling rainbow liquid that just seemed wrong. Where the vats in the central chamber had been a solid green color, here we were looking at flux in its purest form. Not only was my Geiger counter having a fit, but just staring down into the stuff made me feel like I was going to turn inside out. Goddesses, where did Twilight find this stuff?
How do we get out of here, boss?
Moonblossom asked uneasily.
This place is giving me the creeps. There's nothing natural about what lies within those vats.
Xena noted darkly.
It is dark, wrong, almost chaotic.
An emotionless female voice asked, as a new red bar appeared amidst a pop. Oh, crap. We all shot around, and sure enough, a large and imposing equine figure approached us slowly and predatorily. Her eyes narrowed in on us, as the remnants of her teleportation faded away into nothingness. And then the alicorn stopped, looking completely calm even as we readied our weapons against the mutant. One by one, the large pony looked between us before glancing into a nearby vat. Her gaze remaining cool, her eyes finally came to a rest, looking directly into mine.
The blood of an enemy. One drained in amounts disproportionate to his body mass. An impossibility, but that creature is one who existed within such chaos.
The alicorn mused, though I wasn't entirely sure who this enemy was.
Yet even chaos has its elegance, when perfected and shaped by unity.
Before I could even ask what exactly she was talking about, Moonblossom angrily cut in.
Oh, shut the fuck up, you mindless prick!
she spat.
What's wrong? Your boss too scared to talk to us herself? The goddess fears no pony.
Well, she's here now.
Lies do not befit a goddess,
Xena taunted.
Your fear of Twilight Sparkle was most noticeable. We do not fear that pathetic unicorn. Yeah, we saw your little domestic with Kronos. He sure thinks you do.
Moonblossom further added with a delightfully vicious smirk. The alicorn's eye twitched.
Your attempt to fuel her rebellion shall be consumed by our unity. We are great and powerful. Her cage is well crafted, her mind ours to suppress.
I don't know. I felt like I had to have in on this. Not every day you get to scare the shit out of a goddess. She seems pretty smart. Smarter than you. I'm sure she'll catch you off guard someday. Help some pony take you down.
It shall never be!
She bellowed as she reared up and her horn charged. Oh, that got her attention. We all scattered into offshoots of the catwalk as a lavender beam of magic struck the walkways and sent a section of it clattering to the ground below. Shit. I brought up Venomous and fired at the alicorn, the mutant lighting her horn and teleporting with a pop. A second flash came from right above our heads, and we all looked up to see her staring right back. I engaged Sats and took aim again, firing 3 bolts at the alicorn as Xena followed suit, and Moonblossom opened her wings and charged the large pony. The goddess, seemingly still in control, judging by that scowl, weaved through the air before spinning to deliver a kick to Moonblossom's face. The Pegasus was sent hurtling through the air, a small moment of panic filling me as she sped towards a vat, but just about managed to regain her balance and hover in its open mouth.
Insolent fools!
Her horn charged, and another beam of magic trailed straight at us. Xena immediately jumped to another section of the catwalk, but I almost lost my balance as the platform started to give way. The beam almost on top of me, I saw a gap where I could fall between the vats and took it. I leapt straight over the railing, bracing myself as I fell straight into the cold concrete floor below. There was a loud clang as the catwalk fell behind me, very nearly crushing me.
Your reverence for Twilight Sparkle is misplaced. The ascension of ponies and changelings into unity was her plan, under the goddess's gracious guidance.
I'm not sure there's anything gracious about stealing a pony's mind and turning them into servants. There were more lavender flashes overhead as I got up and started to weave between the vats. At least 2 more shots coming from Xena's sniper rifle, as I also heard Moon's rage-filled shout. I was ideally looking for some stairs to get back up, or at least for that alicorn puppet to come into my line of fire. There was another bang as somewhere more of the catwalk came crumbling down.
The form of our purple alicorns came from her, you know. So much knowledge she had to share with us, and we have grown much from her calculations.
I moved through another pair of vats, but was forced to stop dead as a blur swooped down in front of me, and the alicorn cracked to the ground as she came to stand inches from my face. I hit out with the butt of my gun, smacking the alicorn across her face. She gave a growl of frustration as I ducked away, an explosion following me as one of the vats started to flood the ground behind me with its inner taint.
Green from the twins. blew from our own past perfection.
Another explosion from somewhere behind me.
But even our old name has been surrendered for the good of unity, where we must serve as our goddess.
I barely ducked as she rounded the corner, a sort of magic forming out of thin air and embedding itself into a vat near where my head had just been. I fired at the alicorn, but she teleported to safety as Venomous ate into the vat behind where she had just been and started to let loose even more flux.
Yet nuisances such as yourself and her own blood still have her cling to her own selfish individuality. There is only the unity, and so we must remind her,
the goddess bellowed.
Time and again we must renew the cage upon her mind, leaving only that which is useful. She is a necessary annoyance within our unity, but one far more manageable with your deaths. If our alicorns cannot defeat you, then we surely will.
I ducked behind another vat after escaping the flow of flux, sliding to the ground and taking a moment to catch my breath. Whoever the goddess had been before creating Unity, she'd clearly been obsessed with Twilight. A co-worker, a rival, who knows? All those minds she had to have enslaved inside Unity, and yet Twilight was the only one she had seemed to be absolutely petrified about losing control over. So much so that she would possess her own alicorns and personally fight ponies who might remind her about who she used to be. And it was working. Goddess was vicious, whereas alicorns were coldly efficient, seeing as their own individuality had been stripped away from them. The goddess herself was anything but. The one back in Buckingham had been calm the entire time. Even those small slips of emotion had been dashed by this bitch before they could really manifest. She, however, was really foaming at the mouth at the thought of killing us. And without Cobalt and Ultrix to help, how are we going to pull this off? Then it hit me. I reached into my saddlebag, pulling out the small change buck that I had picked up earlier. If I could just... Celestia, please let this work. I slipped the device into my pip-buck as the sounds of fighting continued around me, the goddess continuing to rant about Unity's perfection and Twilight Sparkle's insolence. The screen flashed, and a menu screen appeared before my eyes. How do I wasn't sure how to select any particular option, so I just thought really hard and hoped for the best. There was a flash of green the moment I hit activate. A strange sensation fell over my body. I felt new appendages on my back, my front hooves turning into claws, as I felt an unsettling mix between organic and metal parts around my form. And yet, not. I can't really describe it. It was like I knew and felt my actual self, but I was also experiencing this new form the Changebuck had given me at the same time. It was rather trippy, actually. Is this just how changelings feel by default? Well, time to give my new limbs a spin. Not even wanting to attempt flying on wings I didn't know whether they would actually work or not, I got back on and started to make my way back towards the stairs. Despite being a griffin, I could still somehow use my magic. A small glow appeared where my horn should have been as I levitated Venomous around myself. I holstered the gun for now, just until the right moment. I soon found that staircase I'd been looking for, rapidly ascending and moving back out onto the catwalk. And there, flying high above it, was the goddess. She seemed pristine, yet to have taken a single direct hit, even as I saw Xena try to take a shot at her from beneath the catwalk, where I had just been. Moonblossom likewise flying around the alicorn in an attempt to get a good hit in. The sniper round missed as she teleported again, moving up close to Moonblossom as my friend made a swing with her knife. Goddess's borrowed horn glowed, Moon being caught in a magic aura that trapped her mid-air. Helpless, I stepped out. "Goddess!" I spoke, my voice far gruffer than I was used to. She turned to face me, frowning.
Kronos.
"It worked, yes!"
Your presence is not required. Return to your playthings. We have the nuisances in our grasp.
"It appears they're giving you trouble," I tried to say in a manner Kronos might, all the while moving a little closer to try and get the best shot. "Perhaps I should take things from here."
The goddess does not.
She was cut off when she inadvertently brought Moonblossom too close, the Pegasus managing to wrest back enough control to kick out and smack the alicorn in the face. The goddess shouted in rage as she turned to face my friends. I pulled Venomous free, entering a descent and targeting the goddess with what I hoped was a single, well-placed shot. I fired. The goddess dropped Moonblossom in shock as she heard the bolt fire, and while I'd been aiming for her stomach from down below, her turning to face the source of the gunfire inadvertently changed the target. The bolt hit her in the base of her right wing, a scream of pain definitely belonging to the possessed alicorn rather than the goddess ringing out as she started to thrash wildly. Her wing came free from the rest of her body, the alicorn plummeting down onto the catwalk.
Our wing is expendable. We shall.
The alicorn started to calmly say in her own voice, before her head then twitched as the goddess returned.
You shall pay for such insults. Die! Die!
She flicked her head and sent a wave of magic hurtling at myself and Moonblossom, the blast smacking us like a ton of bricks and sending us skidding backwards. We were both instantly floored, but each managed to take hold of the railings before we slid into one of the vats. A bullet traveled straight through the alicorn with a spray of blood. Xena coming up behind the goddess with her rifle raised high and proud. Moonblossom recovered quickly, flapping her wings with a vengeance and shooting forward. She slammed both of her forehooves into the side of the staggered and wounded alicorn, sending her off of her hooves and over the railing. It was like neither the alicorn drone nor her overlord were able to fully comprehend the turn of events and teleport to safely before they slammed right into the taint. Her whole body was submerged in an instant before she burst up onto the surface of the liquid and started to squirm. What happened next was beyond grotesque. Her skin started to bubble as her fur rapidly fell away, what was left starting to shift between purple, blue, and green. Large gashes started to open up along her neck as her eyes boiled and burst, their juices flowing down along her struggling, dying body and forming dozens of new eyes all along her form. Multiple separate horns started to grow from her original, each one a different size, shape, and color. From those gashes in her neck started to grow separate deformed heads, each one barely muscle and bone that screamed in silent agony. The new leg hit out vaguely up at us, pointing as if an accusation before the skin started to strip away. This was followed by the muscle, and then even the bone liquefied as the rest of the alicorn started to melt into some kind of pony soup. The eyes were the last thing to go, staring up at us with the alicorn drone's individual terror that even the goddess could not hide. Then, she was gone.
Well,
Moonblossom was the first to speak.
I'm having nightmares forever, thanks.
Hey, you pushed her, I pointed out, causing her to shrug in a conceding way. I looked back at the now seemingly empty pool of taint, a green glow signifying the fall of my Kronos disguise. Somehow, I had a feeling that the goddess was ranting and raving inside Unity. I hoped that Twilight Sparkle got to feel a few moments of satisfaction at the monster's defeat, before she tore out that glimmer of individuality and rendered the Ministry Mare a docile aspect of the mind again. One day, you psychotic bitch, some pony will free all of your victims. When that day comes, I hope Twilight lives long enough to piss on your grave. Either way, I had a feeling we wouldn't be seeing the goddess or her slaves again anytime soon.
Your deception was timely,
Xena complimented.
This change buck is a most useful device. Hey, you two could use it for kinky sex shit,
Moonblossom remarked,
a blush making its way onto my face as
Xena just glared daggers at the Pegasus. Right, well, moving on. It's burnt out, I explained, removing it from my pipbuck and holding it out. Unless we find another, we're out of luck.
Shame. I had such ideas,
Moonblossom said cheekily before her expression then darkened.
But how about we find that bastard she thought you were, huh? He has to answer to all tricks.
Yeah, he does. I turned towards the next door leading out of here, and beyond that, the central chamber. Only Kronos remained.